What's going on, people? Welcome to United View. Welcome to the Morning View. So much to discuss. It's all going off in the world of football. The managerial merry-go-round has started again. It started to spin just when it stopped and everybody got off. Everyone's back on it now. The carousel's going around. It is insane what's going on. Welcome to the channel. Smash a like on the video. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. Me and Owen are going to take you through everything that has gone on. Mauricio Pochettino has left Chelsea. What is the impact that has on Ineos/Eric Ten Hag and their search for, or non-search for, a new manager? You know, there's both sides to this. Dan Ashworth and Omar Berrada, according to reports, email blunder. Apparently, Dan Ashworth has snitched on himself. I mean, that would be a turn up for the books. Absolute embarrassing stuff there. £35 million transfer budget before player sales, in brackets. I mean, that's also a rumor or a report or stuff to talk about there. You're probably thinking, what on earth is going on this morning if you don't know what's going on? And the Rashford Cup final situation, I know there was fallout from him not being in the England team, but there's also some stuff from The Athletic just talking about Ten Hag's views on Rashford, apparently, allegedly, in this article. So there is so much to get into. Please do smash a like on the video. Also, playback, guys. Owen done some funny quizzes yesterday. The day before that, me and Owen done some quizzes. Get involved in playback. Anything extra we do, all the things that are off the cusp, all the things that you guys have been asking for, all the fun stuff, even stuff away from Man United, is on there. And of course, extensions of the Flexing KG show where you guys can call in, extensions of the Full View, watch-alongs for other games, match views for other games. So get involved in playback. You can see it there, pinned at the top of the chat. View, United View on playback. Click the link there and follow our community on playback. And like the video. 84% of you have done so already. 16% of you doing it now as well. So much to get into this show. A big opening ceremony from me for the show.
Yes.
So much to go on. I'm handing over to you, Owen.
Yes, a smorgasbord of information this morning, Flex. A huge buffet of stories in the world of Manchester United football, etc., etc., etc. going on. Starting off, as you mentioned, with the news about Mauricio Pochettino. Very surprising last night that it had been mutually agreed that he was going to be leaving Chelsea. And obviously that leads to questions about Manchester United. And we've got quite a few bits involved in all of this. So starting off once again with the news last night coming out, I think it was first reported by, I want to say The Telegraph was first to break the news. I mean, it was everywhere. Chelsea released a statement saying Mauricio Pochettino is leaving Chelsea as head coach after just 1 year in charge. Now, you would say this isn't Chelsea view, it's United view. So how does this relate to Manchester United? Well, according to The Standard, Mauricio Pochettino is now on the radar of Manchester United and Bayern Munich after leaving Chelsea last night. And this is when it gets really, really interesting. Flex, from one David Ornstein. On Sky Sports News last night. Yes, he was talking on Sky Sports News. He was doing, is it called Paper Talk? I think it's called Paper Talk.
I think it was before. Yeah. I don't know if they've changed it, but that is, I think he was on with Mark Ogden, wasn't he?
Yeah, last night. And he said, quote, I think Manchester United have been heavily linked with him for some time before Eric Ten Hag. He met with Ineos about the niche job too, so there's a relationship there. He continued by saying, I'm sure now he's available, he'll be in the thinking of clubs like Manchester United. And I'm sure, given the background, a club like Manchester United will hold some appeal to him. He then continued by saying, so inevitably, that's one you've got to watch. But you've got to think about the structure of a club like Manchester United under Ineos. If it didn't quite work for Mauricio Pochettino at Chelsea, where they want to bring in a set-piece coaches, and he was said to be against that and other things, and he wanted a more traditional style of management, would it work at somewhere like Manchester United, where they're trying to do something similar with their sporting directors and so on? Now, Ben Jacobs has also chimed in on this, saying Mauricio Pochettino is open to getting straight back into work. He has admirers at Manchester United and Bayern Munich. Now, interestingly, and this is a bit of a extra bit to add on to this too, because it involves Thomas Tuchel, who's also been linked to Manchester United, who's also out of work right now, and he's also been linked to Chelsea. Florian Plettenberg, in the report we spoke about on Monday, said, well, 2 clubs he'd want to go to this summer. He's either taking a break or he's going to the Premier League. He's going to Manchester United. He's going to Chelsea. Well, interestingly, Jacob Steinberg, who has been very close on this story when it pertains to Chelsea, has said, I'm told that Thomas Tuchel isn't interested in a Chelsea return. The feeling is unsurprisingly mutual, basically saying, again, he's not interested and Chelsea aren't interested, which is entirely logical when you think about it, because their working relationship ended like 18 months ago and it was, again, not too great, was it? So that, again, then when you think about the Thomas Tuchel stuff, that leads more into the discussion of, well, maybe Monday, again, it was just a come and get me kind of sign from Thomas Tuchel too. So I said, Flex, I felt that there was more that was going to happen in this managerial market, and it looks like that's the case.
Wow. Yeah, it does. I mean, funnily enough, not to let you say all of that and do like the boring rhetoric, but like all of that has happened. Eric can still stay. No one's saying that this means, I think it's very important that we make that clear. This does not mean that it's over for Eric. It does not mean that, they've made a decision and Poch will now be United man. It doesn't mean any of that. But the discussion surrounding availability of suitable candidates, well, you might not think they're suitable, but, available candidates, should we say, we might not think they're suitable, or certain ones are not. The discussion around it is loud. And really, it's so true. And when you've been saying it, Owen, so many times, like, still more to play out, still this, still that. We were talking yesterday, I think. It was like, bloody hell. I mean, you literally can't call not just whether Eric Ten Hag will stay or go, because I think it's bigger than that. You just can't call what will happen next within football. It's just that. The managers that are gone, the De Zerbi one was quite abrupt. We knew it, but then, the rumors of someone's agreed a package, it's done. Then it's like, oh, is it now Chelsea? Chelsea then get rid of their manager. Pochettino, when we were saying a couple months ago, when it was on this beginning of the good form, or a month ago, whatever it was, but actually probably looks like he'll stay. So that's one less. Xavi's going to stay. That's one less. Tuchel might stay. That's one. And now all of a sudden, these guys are all on the market. They're all gone.
They're all gone. It's crazy. Yeah,
they're all gone, man. So I think with the Poch thing, let's talk about Poch. With the Poch thing, I think it is important I think honestly makes a good point. You got to look at the suitability with how Manchester United is about to be and what Poch has just sort of gone through at Chelsea. Now, that's not me saying that I think Ineos are going to be like Todd Bowley and make crazy decisions and be out of control and not really look like we know what we want to do. I'm not suggesting that, but Man United is about to change an awful lot. And again, it's a question of alignment. Does Poch want to work under this new look Man United, head coach vibes? They are going to agree sort of playing style, more of a traditional model, and especially when there's a multi-club model or big investors, like that's what Chelsea have been doing. Would that work? I mean, David Ornstein said in that piece there, they wanted to bring a set piece coach and
transfers as well. They described it as
really
philosophical differences. Like, it must be stressed. Like, a lot of the reporting that came out last night said the departure with Poch from Chelsea was actually very mutual. They had this end of season meeting and they just realized they weren't on the same page. So they decided to go in different directions, which I think makes a mockery of their interview process, which took months in the summer. Interview process takes months in the summer. Come the end of the season, actually, we're not a good fit together. We should go in a different direction. I was surprised by it because, I mean, we said it a few times going, like, I just thought the way the season ended for them and in a period of time where they've been so not stable, they would have a bit of stability. I'm not going to lie, when it comes to Poch possibly coming into United, look, he's been linked so many times to this job, whether it's 2018 after Jose got sacked, whether it was when Ollie got sacked. Like, it's been a couple of times, hasn't it? He's been linked to this job, and it's very obvious and clear he wants this job. He's wanted it for his career. He's been wined and dined by Sir Alex Ferguson on occasion too, whilst he was the Spurs manager, I think. It's interesting when you look at Chelsea this season, because at points watching Chelsea this season, you could make a lot of comparisons to Manchester United this season when you're going, they've got no control over the game. It's end-to-end stuff. Defensively, they're really bad. They've got no plan B. And then the debate once again, which is the same debate like it's been at Man United, is but sort of the structure he's working in, and some of those players, they brought a lot of them in, they're just not good enough.
Injuries,
and
many injuries.
I just like injuries as well.
Yeah.
I looked at that when I go, you could kind of just swap out Pochettino's name and put Erik ten Hag's name, and it would kind of be the same. And I don't know. I don't know about
and
that.
Owen, you look at exactly, it does feel, and someone just said there, remember Flex when you wanted Poch before Erik ten Hag, when I was open to that. I do remember that. I'm not going to shy away from that. And I think it's easy now to see how it's unraveled at Chelsea, and he's already left after 11 months to say, he didn't win the cup final. Another reminder of the bottling in this country, etc., etc. I get it, but
against kids, well.
Exactly. Yeah. But I do, with that Chelsea team and how it's been assembled, probably again without the say so of Pochettino, he's been told these are your players. Let's be real. Could he have done much more than sixth with that? Probably not. Probably not. And actually, like you said, there are large alarming things in the beginning of the season and halfway through the season. I mean, look, Chelsea fans tell us better than this, and I've listened to Matisse all year. He said the other 33 games or 32 games, I've been in the mud all year. And he said that, no identical style of play, Poch doing things that, although these are your players, the decisions you make with them, you're not finding solutions. Then towards the end of the season, you've got Marc Cucurella inverting, different type of system. They're playing better. Then you go and actually, I'll tell you what, leave him. Let Poch get some players there. They're starting to get some players back. And Kunku wasn't available all year. He done all right when he came in. Mudryk showed a little bit. He took out Sterling. Fofana's just gone. Lavia couldn't even see him. Caicedo started to get better. Enzo's gone off to have like an operation because he's been. So let him cook. Let's see. Because we went to tell you what, with more games, Chelsea would have. They only finished 3 points behind Spurs. And Spurs in Ange's first season, I know they're Spurs, have had a good season. Yeah. So it is weird.
It's a mixed bag. It's a mixed bag. Because when you do, like you said, if you listen to the Chelsea fans yesterday, there was a portion of fans going, Todd Bowley, this ownership structure, what they do, we're just getting that. But then there were others legitimately that were like, well, I didn't think Poch was the right guy for us. Like, we haven't been very good all season. And as I mentioned, these tactical problems, and we got Enzo Fernandez, and he couldn't get the best out of him. It was only when Enzo Fernandez came out the team because he was injured, we started playing well. And
mate, sorry, just quickly, he's gonna play down to 5. Was it 6 managers?
I saw something. There was this weird thing that was like, since the year 2000, now Chelsea have had more managers than there have been popes since the 1700s. but again, so it's not like I think my point is, because I've seen a lot of obviously the links with Poch, and there's nothing concrete. Obviously, it's just because, as we have said, any manager that comes on the market now, because there's pressure on Ten Hag, they're linked, they're admired by Ineos. But with the Poch thing, I do take a step back and go, well, even if we were to make that call, like, has there been enough seen this season from him to be like, actually, he's a massive upgrade on Erik ten Hag? Because it's, again, it's largely the same. It's, for me, it's largely the same. And if you want to talk about the whole, what's he won? He's kind of on the same level as Eric, isn't it, really? You know what I mean? PSG, Liga, okay, cool. That's expected. In the Eredivisie, it's expected that you would win it with Ajax then. Champions League, of course, Poch did beat Ten Hag to get to a final. Okay.
But he lost.
But he lost. And Poch has got to a few finals and lost. Ten Hag, he has won a trophy. And for me, I don't think there's a massive difference there. You know what I mean?
Which also could mean, though, if he did come and you believe in Eric, then you could believe in what Poch is trying to do if it worked, because they're kind of about par. But I think the consensus is, and for me, I would lean more towards Eric now. That before I was like, listen, there's a lot of slander on Poch. The PSG thing, like I said, not many people, everybody who comes through that institution comes out looking worse.
No,
and then they have to go and reprove themselves, don't they? Really, let's be honest. Like Tuchel did it. Emery did it. Luis Enrique now. Didn't get over the line in the Champions League. It's like,
Tuchel achieved the most out of it as well. I mean,
it's the most.
That's what I mean.
Champions League final got close. So I feel like you have to say, well, Poch, it hasn't helped coming back to England in the spotlight, get into a final where people thought, tell you what, this Chelsea team's rubbish. They get there, Then the way the final was lost.
Yeah.
And you go, that's got a bit of Spurs all over that. That's got a bit of the Poch thing. You can't stay. That's. And but then, if you want to flip it, let's not act like Chelsea been going finals without Poch recently. They're at Wembley. They've been losing every single one, mate. Even under Tuchel.
But I think you just have to be like
FA Cup, Carabao Cup. They lost it all.
You just have to be almost like careful, don't you, just with the Poch thing, because the season. You know what helps him, Poch? It's the way the season ended, because the season ended so good for Chelsea, didn't it? It ended so good.
You could actually see something.
But for the large majority, it was so bad. Like it was really, really bad. And I just like, and it would be typical Manchester United, wouldn't it, have gone, we end up hiring a guy that there's an argument to be made we should have got like 7 years ago, 6, 7 years ago. And that's like, it was a bit like the Jose thing all over again, going, he would have been great 6 years ago, 5 years ago. Yeah. Louis van Gaal, he would have been great like a decade ago. So I don't know. But it's to circle it back to Ineos and circle it back to Manchester United, as you touched on earlier on, and as I've been saying the last like week or so, that one of the big things has been alternatives on the market. Now, whether you think these alternatives are good or not, park that to one side, but it's not as if now there aren't options for Ineos to look at, you know, that aren't like Gareth Southgate where you go, this is madness or whatever. There are more credible, shall we say, options on the market at the moment of like, they've managed in the Premier League recently, or they do have some kind of track record of managing at big clubs, whether it is Poch, whether it is Tuchel, whether it's someone that's emerging like De Zerbi or what have you. Or, you know, there's the thing with Chelsea is seemingly they're going after Kieran McKenna, and sometimes that can make clubs panic at the same time as well. Kind of going, oh,
imagine that, Owen?
By all accounts, he's the leading candidate as well. But if you're Kieran McKenna, stay away. Stay away from that club, because the best place for him to go if he was to make a move right now, go Brighton. Go Brighton for a couple of seasons. At least they're
stable.
You'll be looked after.
Some managers, I mean, oh mate, that's the dip, because some managers, exactly. He's so young and he's only just got to the Prem and hasn't even managed in the Prem one game yet. He could say, let me just stay at Ipswich. I've done this job. I really want to give it a go with them. But then you get advice, say, listen, when the big clubs want you, if you believe in yourself at this level, like even if it came earlier, that's what's really difficult on a personal. It's like, even say if it was us or something, someone goes to you, oh, Owen, I don't know, after being on United View for like 5 months, Sky want you to be the next Dave Jones. They want you to present Monday Night Football
or Soccer Saturday. They want you to
Soccer Saturday. You want to be Jeff Stelling.
Yeah.
You go, I tell you what, I mean, on my bucket list within the next 5 to 10 years, yeah, but I'm still getting used to this thing. But then you go, if I turn that down and don't even try, I don't know what. It depends on the person.
It depends on your self-confidence, doesn't it? It depends on your self-confidence. Because some people would be like, well, I'm never going to get that opportunity again. I've got to take it. But then some people be like, I know I'm good enough. I know I'm good enough, but I'm not ready yet. I'll be there, and I'll be so good in a couple of years that I'll get that offer anyway, kind of thing. You know,
or like the Xabi Alonso thing, where it's like, it's not even just that like I can do it. He's actually conquered. He's achieved something huge. Yeah. And you're going to be at Europe's elite next year. For Kieran McKenna, it'd be amazing to see him do that, League One to Prem, back to back, and then keep them up. Like he'll do something nice, or they're doing all right, but like you said, someone like Wolves or Everton, or I know Brighton and there would be perfect. To be fair,
that would be the one.
Brighton
one would be the one for him.
Oh, that would be
the Chelsea one. The risk they have right now,
very volatile.
Of most managers looking at it going, I'm not going to be there in like a year's time.
Yeah. What are they doing? It's not the Chelsea view, but Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
I don't know what they're doing.
And then again, with the Poch thing to United, if one of the big crux is, well, I want to be more involved in recruitment, I want to be more involved in transfers, Man United are going so opposite of that direction. One of the criticisms at the moment is that the manager's got maybe a bit too influence over transfers, or too much like it's got to be delegated to someone else. And like, because that's one of the things of a reason for keeping Ten Hag, isn't it? Going, yeah, his talent ID maybe is not great, but his coaching's good. So take that away from him, focus on the coaching, he'd do better. Well, if Poch came in thinking he was going to be heavily involved in recruitment, or at least have a say in recruitment, maybe not so much. But then, with our next story, maybe he should be, considering their eyes to details on certain matters. Dan Ashworth and Berrada. My goodness me. Talk about the Chuckle Brothers.
Jeez, yeah, let's get onto that. Before we do, our system, our gremlins are messing up a
Yeah.
little bit, just a little bit.
Sure.
Currently, just to let you know what's happening in the back end, guys. Our feed currently says there's only 67 of you watching, and we know that's not true.
Yeah.
And there's already 304 likes, which probably is true. So we don't know how many of you are watching, but we know it's quite a lot.
Yeah.
But keep watching. We
Yeah.
can see you all in the comments. They're working fine. Members chats and super chats, they're working fine. I'm going to read those two in a minute. Do smash a like on the video, as you can see there. Have you liked the video? Yes, 71%. Please get like him. Maybe we need a few more likes to get the gremlins out of the system to make sure that it's actually working.
I jinxed it before we started. Before we started, I went,
Yeah.
YouTube's been really buggy recently, and it continues. But yes, it says nearly 70, but it's more.
It's not.
Definitely,
Yeah,
it's
and you guys are saying mine says 67 too.
Yeah, it says
so
it on
guys can see it
YouTube.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not the case. There are so much more of you
Yeah.
guys than that. Because put it this way, we would not have 350 odd likes if we had 67 people watching. Because that would be impossible.
Yeah, exactly.
Akash, thanks for the super chat. Says Sir Alex Ferguson presented McKenna with the LMA award yesterday.
Yeah, he did. Won an award. Award-winning manager.
Award-winning manager. And Apna Bidu says, I have a feeling that Ten Hag is holding the United job will be the calm eye of this managerial job storm this summer. People will move around, not Ten Hag. So him just staying put and just having a little bit of calm, let everything relax down and let all the storm happen around everywhere else is the key, according to Apna, who's also been a member for 1 month as well. So big up to you. Joe Blackman says, I told you YouTube was broken this morning as well. But shout out to you guys in the regular chat as well. Nikhil says, about to headbutt. About to head out for a bit. Headbutt. About to head out for a bit. Nick Fury.
Yeah.
About to head out for a bit.
John Fury, not Nick Fury. He's from Marvel.
Sorry, John.
Flex.
Oh, that's it. Yeah, John Fury. But Nick Fury from Marvel, I'm pretty sure he's probably done a few headbutts as well. That's Samuel L. Jackson, no?
Yeah.
See, I know my characters, mate. I know my characters.
About
to head out. I know, I don't know people. Well, I get mixed up. Nikhil says he's heading out for a bit of night fishing, but got to check in and hit that like night fishing. I mean, night fishing. I mean, I've done fishing a couple of times in the day. Didn't really enjoy it that much, but must be a bit difficult doing it in the night, isn't it? Or is that easy?
I mean, I'm not a massive. I've never even been fishing, but my my granddad was a big expert fisherman, and I don't know. There's lots of different kinds of fishing you can do. Some people do the whole thing. Some people they get in like a camper van. They go out to a lake in the middle of like the winter, really cold, with like their sleeping bags and what have you, and do it all the way through the night.
Yeah, interesting. So much more to talk about. Anyway, Dan Ashworth and Omar Berrada. Dan Ashworth snitched on himself, apparently.
This is a crazy story, Flex. And actually a quite concerning one because it could have big sort of repercussions for Manchester United. So this was an exclusive from Craig Hope from the Mail yesterday saying Dan Ashworth sent an email to Newcastle United to a Newcastle United address, inadvertently revealing he was being tapped up by incoming Manchester United chief executive Omar Berrada, who was still on gardening leave from Manchester City. Mail Sports says they can reveal the pair had a conversation in early February, and Ashworth followed that up by sending an email to Berrada at an Ineos account, making it clear he wanted to accept the opportunity of becoming Manchester United's sporting director. However, Ashworth sent a blind copy to his own Newcastle email address, clumsily disclosing to the club the covert negotiations with Berrada. Man United at this point had not informed Newcastle of their interest in Ashworth. Berrada, meanwhile, does not officially start at Old Trafford until July 13, and he had been on gardening leave from Man City for less than a month while engaging with Ashworth, potentially breaching the terms of his contract. Ashworth, we understand, also disclosed details to Berrada of the agreement between Newcastle and Brighton that took him to St. James's Park in the summer of 2022. This would likely be a breach of confidentiality to each Newcastle and Brighton. The 53-year-old eventually informed Newcastle of his wish to join Man United on February 18 and was placed on gardening leave, a period that Ratcliffe had suggested expired towards the end of 2025. Man United have so far not made an acceptable offer to Newcastle to bring forward that date, and Ashworth is reportedly set to take the club to arbitration in a bid to force through his move. Ashworth and Berrada were potentially breaching Premier League guidelines. There is increased chatter in football circles of the Ineos chief, that being Sir Jim Ratcliffe, not understanding how the industry works, and he was angered, and he has angered Man United employees by removing staff perks around the FA Cup final. He has also banned working from home, upsetting some within the club. Finally, it says, Newcastle, meanwhile, have stood firm in waiting for what they see as a fair offer to release Ashworth from his gardening leave. The Premier League have not received any complaints. Their rulebook states that each club, director and official should behave towards each other with the utmost good faith, and it would be a breach if they were to act dishonestly towards another club or engage in conduct that is intended to circumvent these rules. So there is, honestly, Flex, so much wrong with all of that. If that is true, there is one the tapping up of the employee before the club informed them that, you know, we wanted to get Dan Ashworth. There's Omar Berrada engaging in Manchester United activities when he's not meant to yet on an Ineos account. Okay, so that's another part of it. There's Dan Ashworth disclosing the confidential agreement between Brighton and Newcastle, breaches of confidentiality from both. I mean,
GDPR.
Oh my God. Like, it's not just like one thing of, oh, he was tapped up by, you know, John Murtough when he was there, a Man United employee. He's been tapped up by the guys not even meant to be working. And I remember you did the interview with Keith Downey and some other people going, yeah, but, you know, like between you and me, no one's watching, that kind of thing. Are they going to be working on the side doing some things? And they were like, oh, no. It'd be really stupid to do that. I'd say what would be even more stupid is to get caught doing it as well. And again, if that is true, when it comes to that arbitration, and look, it's no coincidence this is coming out just before they go to arbitration.
Yeah, I'm not sure about this.
If you give it to the arbitrator and that is true, that is accurate, which side do you think they're going to lean towards?
Well, they may as well just walk out now. They may as well not even go there. If this is that bad, right? Because some of the memes, because he's trending now, I just thought I'd click on some of them as well, see what's happening. I mean, it's massive claims from Craig Hope, huge, absolutely.
Mm-hmm. And it must be stressed. Craig Hope, by the way, he's the Northeast football correspondent. He covers Newcastle, so that information most likely
he's the equivalent of Keith Downing.
He would have got from Newcastle. So that's probably Newcastle's side of the story. And again, if it is true, it's pretty strong. Maybe Manchester United or Omar Berrada or Dan Ashworth's side of the story is a bit more. No, that's not what really happened. But if you've got a chain of emails,
if it's that's what I'm saying. If there's evidence there and they're about to go to this arbitration and stuff like that, they're done. Like you're in big trouble. Like if all of that is true, the revealing of Brighton, revealing the negotiation with Man United, Omar Berrada's done himself over as well. He's working on the Ineos account, not supposed to be doing that till July. You know, Dan Ashworth is been tapped up illegally. Like they're in massive trouble. I just for Craig Hope to attach his name to that, you'd want him to be right for his own sake, but I don't know, man. I don't see that. Like there's too many blunders in there for it to, like, the whole thing would just be blown up. Like there hasn't even been an official complaint yet, and this did come out yesterday, I suppose. So maybe in the next, you know, if this is all true, Newcastle will put a complaint. Like it's not, you can't do that. You can't do any of that.
Well, so Newcastle could wave it off and be like, well, that 20 million looks a bit closer, doesn't it? That 20 million. We can make it all go away.
I just can't believe. Yeah, exactly true. I just can't believe that they would have been that stupid for that list of blunders. But football's an effed up game. Like there's so much things that go on behind the scenes that aren't supposed to go on. Corruption and, you know, bending of the rules, breaking of the rules, secret, you know, meets and stuff like that. So it's not my remit to say like that 100% isn't or is true, but it is very significant that someone like Craig Hope, who's, like you said, attached to the Newcastle side of things, would put that out in such detail. It's not discrepancies seem to have been found. It's each individual rule break, basically. He's laboured out very, very clearly.
Yeah.
But
to be fair, that's only one email. Like you can find all of that in one email. Because again, if in one email you talk about talks from United and you disclose the stuff between Newcastle and Brighton, then again, you've got all of these different things in boom, 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 in all of these different in one email. It must be stressed. It wasn't only the Mail that reported it. The Times also went with it too, talking about it, and they added a little bit more, saying that Man United's offer for Ashworth's release fee or whatever so far has still only been £2.5 million. So I don't know, but if it's true, it's not good. And look, there are the sirens coming for them, Flex. They're in big trouble.
They're saying, "How dare you do this? You are a disgrace and a cheat. You're cheating." Joe Fleming says, "Definite no to Pochettino. Not good enough." Big up to Joe. And Ryan, the Chelsea fan. Mate, I'm surprised you're in here talking about Ashworth and Wilcox, mate. You ain't got no manager, Ryan. What's going on, bro? He says, so with no Ashworth, it's Wilcox doing transfers. Don't know. Probably.
Well, they said Wilcox and Berrada when he comes in or whatever. But and again, the concern also, I spoke to KG about this on the phone yesterday, is that Man City, if they wanted to be really pay, they could also be like, he's still technically our employee. He shouldn't be working. What's going on with that? They probably have bigger concerns. From
take some of our charges off, and we'll be all right.
Probably. But also, if you want to try and twist it into a positive, even though he's not meant to be, Berrada is working. So it's not as if he's going to be starting. It's not as if he's going to be starting completely from scratch when he begins in July or whatever. He's been working since February, since it was announced, which is one of those ones, isn't it, where, when it's like, well, I think probably most people had kind of assumed that he wasn't sitting there doing nothing, sitting on his hands going, oh yeah, I'm just going to become the Man United chief executive and nothing's going to happen. I'm just not going to do anything for a few months. Of course, maybe there was an expectation that would happen, but
meet up around each other's houses.
Yeah, it's one of those ones. It's like, again, we're doing the paper trail thing. We're doing emails. And honestly, if you were Omar Berrada, who is Dan Ashworth's boss, you'd be like, you have not started this off well.
No, we look like idiots.
Performance review
If
straight
they've
away.
done that, they are absolute wallies. Like, you can't, to mess up at that level and think like, no one's going to find out. And not even just no one's going to find out. Like you said, you've done it to yourself. You've accidentally put the emails to the wrong people and sent it to Newcastle and let them know what you've done. So I just, it would be really stupid. But also, there are new people coming in, but it would be a representation of the modern day Man United, though. Even when they try and change, the people who are trying to change it have gone and done this. That would be so Man United. I know we say Spursy and all that, like for different things. This version of Man United, the roof coming down and leaking and all that stuff, all of all the statements this year, more statements than wins at one point. The Rashford thing, just stuff at United, stuff. You add this in, it's so Man United like, which is the other point of like, Man United, it's big news. You have to sort of maybe look through some of it. Maybe some of it's true, maybe some of it isn't. I don't know, but yeah, that's what makes me not go, that 1000% is not true.
Yeah,
I'm like, there's always something at Man United. Always.
And like you said, the only thing that maybe you could hold on to it for being not true is just the fact of that would be incompetence on another level. Like, think about it. Why on earth, if you're having a secret email exchange with another club, with a guy that's not even meant to be working, why would you CC your work email? Like, why would you do that? Like, imagine, like you said, that, use the analogy earlier on, the Sky Sports thing. I'm talking to Sky. Where do I go? Yeah, email me at my United View email address. Why would you do that? Like, don't, like you said, pick up the phone, use another email, do whatever. Like, what? Why? There's no need. There is just no need to do that. On like the Newcastle email server, that they would have all of those things. And then bear in mind, once he goes on gardening leave, they'll take away his access and they'll be able to look at it anyway. So that would be, and they're said about, they were talking about the laptop when they were going, the laptop has got all of the details on the Newcastle transfers and the recruitment or whatever. It's got all of his emails on it. That's the only thing where you go, surely not. Surely you couldn't be that silly to do that. So, and like you said, the key thing is Premier League haven't received the complaint. So, but that still could come later, I suppose. I think it's more towards this arbitration thing. And you could maybe understand, if elements of it are true, why Newcastle are pretty pissed off. I mean, they're pissed off anyway. Yeah, they're pissed off anyway because they're, the guy that they hope was going to be leading the charge for them for a lot of things is gone after 18 months. But also the manner of which it's happened, they're not quite happy about. So they can drag things out. We shall see.
Yeah, exactly. Kishan says it's been a member for 11 months, by the way. Kishan, that's sick, by the way. Big up to you. Says, please don't say we have more clowns in charge making such amateurish mistakes. And that's the thing that I was just saying before Owen said what he just said there. It's like, it's very Man United. Like, we're supposed to be changing this incompetence. We're supposed to be changing these, like, silly mistakes or bad decisions or bad choices. So, like Owen said, if this is the start of the Ineos revolution, and Dan Ashworth and Omar Berrada at Man United, they're not going the right way about it. We have got nearly 500 people that have liked the video, and only 88 of you watching. Over 90 watching, says Joe Blackman. Let's get to 500 likes. Exactly. Clearly not only 90 of you watching. There's so much more than that. Hence why we've got nearly 500 likes, which is that's about par, maybe a little bit over as well. So that's how we know it's a regular show, if not a bit better. So big up to everybody locked in. Big up to everyone getting involved in the comments, putting in super chats, putting in members chats as well. Get involved. Right, let's move on. Here's another thing I don't want to believe. £35 million transfer budget.
Yeah, this is kind of wild. This one. This comes once again comes from the Mail, saying from Chris Wheeler this time, the Manchester United correspondent, saying Manchester United's budget this summer is a little more than £35 million in cash. But new co-owners Ineos expect to raise substantially more by selling off some of their stars and are also prepared to offer player swaps. £35 million, Flex, in cash. That's the budget. Allegedly, it must be said. Allegedly. If that is accurate, or if it's close to being accurate, shall we say, does that also then make a bit more sense why in all of the interviews that Jim Ratcliffe had done, he was very quick to mention European football and the importance of European football from a PSR and FFP perspective? Are we now seeing why? Are we now seeing why that is the case? If that's right.
Yes, for sure. But also to take into account, I learned this properly from when I was covering Newcastle in last year's transfer window, right? When Newcastle was struggling for peace, right? Actually, no, I think it was January. They got into the Champions League, obviously, this year and played in it. But they're actually getting the money for it now. Like, they couldn't put that into their accounts for the year before for player sales and stuff like that. So even if we got into Europe now, we wouldn't. You don't just get that money now, but it means you can spend a bit differently because you know it is coming. It's
projected.
It's projected, exactly. Yeah. So you can spend X, Y, Z because you know in the next quarter or whatever when you do your account, you can put it in. But yes, it does. It shows why he wanted to make sure he gets Europe. 35 million. That's really low. Because even times it's
not a good
one guy
and not a good one.
And Owen, think about this. Yeah, there's been times whereby, was it the beginning of going into last window, we were told like, yes, 100 million, really, that's it. And then we spent like bang, bang, bang. And we were like, that's more than that already. You know, Jesus, like we find ways. And look, with PSR and probably we've done those to our detriment and put ourselves in the worst position. So maybe that's why these guys are coming in and saying, no, it is as little as that unless we sell, because we can't afford to do it. So maybe that big change is coming. But if you look at 35 million and say, all right, player sales and player swaps, how much could we raise it to? Let's just do that really quickly.
I was predicting the other day that because the previous number, and this is when you have to take these stories with a pinch of salt, because I swear like a week ago, it was like, they've got 100 million to spend in the summer.
Exactly.
And now it's 35. But then again, a week or so ago, there's still potential we could be in Europe. And now the only hope of that is being in the Europa League from winning the FA Cup. But I predicted we could raise at least minimum 100 million from player sales.
Yeah.
Minimum.
And the Sirens disagree with you.
But think about it. If they want 50 million for Jadon Sancho, that's the number apparently they want. Same in the summer, 50 million. Whether they'll get that, I don't know. But let's say on the low end,
at least 80. You get at least 80 out of Sancho
40,
and Greenwood.
Yeah, 40 each for those two. Then you're getting into like a Casemiro, who you would think, look, he's not going to go for the 70 or anything like that. But like what should we say? 25, 30, something like that. So you're already over 100 there. Then you're looking at maybe like a Lindelof, sort of 8 to 10, maybe, if that happens. Something along those lines. A Wan-Bissaka, You mentioned player swaps. It'd be interesting to see if he gets involved in the Elise deal, goes back to Crystal Palace, or if they cash in. So then you're already sort of into sort of maybe 110, 120, something like that, maybe. And then
And that's without a big shot. Donny van der Beek, 8 million, something like that. 10, I don't know.
Yeah, and
they come to get him.
And also, then you have to factor in, the wages that we're saving too with Varane, Martial, Casemiro when he goes as well, and not just obviously the transfer fee. So there's a lot. There's a lot to be raised, and like you say, the interesting thing would just be what is that initial number? Because if that initial number was like 100, then that player sales we're talking about, we go actually, well, let's spend quite a bit this summer. Then we can actually do some business. If it's 35 and we can raise over 100 million through player sales. Which, by the way, like Man United don't do. So even that would be like, whoa, Man United are really doing things. I don't know. But as MA says, that's also the other point is we still owe a lot on transfer fees anyway, for players that are at the club and players that aren't even at the club. Like the sins of the past are big.
So we also need to brace ourselves then, even in our biggest need to actually have a big window. Do we need to brace ourselves for, it can't be a quiet window. It's impossible. Like there's too much stuff to happen, but a window that don't look how we, like I said, we want it to look. We have to be really realistic because of, like I said, sins of the past. Want to set ourselves up to be better in the future. Depends on player sales, our negotiation strategies and powers with the new guys. A lot depends on a lot of stuff. Player power. Do players get the message and go flipping that they really are changing? I'm off. Like I ain't going to play here. Like if they've made it very clear, or they're just going to rip up my contract, or this, that, and the other. We just don't know how it's going to go and how aggressive they're going to be in trying to lay down that law. Because how much muscle do Ineos have? It's all good to Jim Ratcliffe saying, we're changing this, we're changing that. You're gone, or you just won't play. We'll rip up your contract, or or just put you in reserves, or you just won't play, or this, that, and the other. Or we're not paying that for this player, or we're not offering you this. But when it actually comes down to it, how much leverage and muscle is actually within the club?
Yeah, and also what we need to consider is if we are going to get some of these players in for somewhat bigger money, then the structure of those deals are going to be quite complicated because some of the cost is going to have to be spread quite far into the future.
Exactly.
And that takes time. Those deals take time to do. It's not just like, all right, let's just do it, boom, boom, boom. They can take a bit of time to do. And you've got to be quite creative with how you do them. And that's why those people like Omar Berrada and others are important to bring in. I mean, do you know what? Just circling back to that again, it does give you an insight into Ineos, though, because they are acting under cloak and dagger, very secretive. They just got caught. They just got caught. Allegedly. So let's not pretend that they're not like working on transfers secretly at the moment, because they probably are. But that one, they may have been caught allegedly. But so with this in the summer, that's why you need those people in. You need those specialists in. Like, as we said, the numbers, they change so often. I would be shocked if next week it's 100 million. The week after, I wouldn't be shocked if, like you say, every summer we go and go, there's not a lot of money to spend. We end up finding a way to spend it, don't we? So I wouldn't be shocked if we still spend money.
Yeah, just a little one from Craig Hope and Fabrizio Romano last 10 minutes and a few minutes. Obviously, the free signing of Adebayo from Fulham into Newcastle looks like that's progressing well for them. I know some people have sort of said, "Oh, get him. We can get him." Looks Newcastle bound, and obviously Lloyd Kelly announced that he was leaving Bournemouth. That's also on a free as well. So that's the sort of like Eddie Howe astute. Who do they play starting centre back? Botman and Shah. Lascelles is done now, so Adebayo could come in maybe on a free and be really good next to Shah. Next to Botman. You never know. Lloyd Kelly as well can do a bit. But you got Jacob Murphy though. Maybe he might leave. There's different bits, but it's not Newcastle view, it's United view. So yeah, good luck to them. Whatever. Just give us that up first. That's all we care about, mate. That's all we care about. We've got 550 likes as well. So let's get to 750. Can we do that before we move on? Like before we end the show today? I'm pretty sure we can. Well, let's get to 750. That's the target. If we get a little less, we get a little less. But let's aim high. And thank you for the super chats and your comments as well, guys. Get them in. We will get them read out. Marcus Rashford Cup final and some stuff on Eric Ten Hag.
Yes, so this is quite interesting. Obviously, it comes off the back of Marcus Rashford not being selected for England's European Championship squad, even the provisional squad. The 33-man squad was named yesterday. Marcus Rashford was not included. Gareth Southgate was asked why, and he just said that he had felt that other people in that position had had better seasons. Simple as, really. And The Athletic have written a really big piece about just Rashford's season, really, this morning, and the decline and what have you, and his relationship with Eric Ten Hag as well. This comes from Oliver Kay, saying that Eric Ten Hag has been frustrated by the player's lack of conviction and consistency with the ball, including in areas where he was excelling last season, and by a perceived lack of defensive discipline without it. He then says, Ten Hag places importance on how his attacking players perform out of possession and the first line of defence. Alejandro Garnacho, Anthony and Ahmad can all be inconsistent in that respect, but Ten Hag has expressed satisfaction at their efforts to adapt to his demands. Rashford's absence from the starting lineup in recent weeks reflects concern about his off-the-ball work as much as his goal return. Must be stress. He has been out of action with injury as well. It continues by saying, like most of United's senior players, Rashford was recently invited to a private one-to-one meeting with Sir Dave Brailsford, head of sport at Ineos, whose owner Sir Jim Ratcliffe has bought a 25% stake in the club. Brailsford's intention was to explain the Ineos vision and to get a clearer understanding of the landscape for what is expected to be a summer of change at Old Trafford. It is known that Rashford's relationship with Ten Hag has become more strained, but it is unclear what feedback or any other player gave, whether about his own form, the manager, or anything else. And maybe the key thing here, and we had this debate last Friday on the Trinity Flex, saying so much at United is unclear. That includes Ten Hag's future as well as Rashford's. The cup final offers an opportunity to end a miserable season on a high, but Rashford seems unlikely to start. Which again is it's a big story, and we had this debate, didn't we, on Friday, talking about what's deserved and what do we think will happen. And at the time, I was saying, well, it's got to be Ahmad and Garnacho. It's got to be Ahmad and Garnacho. But in fairness, I think all of us are going, but if you had to put your life savings on it, who do you think's going to start? And you go, well, probably Rashford will start just because of Ten Hag's backed him in the past. But given the last 3 games, Ahmad started them all and done well. And given that kind of piece there, going, the relationship's a bit tense and what have you. Rashford's not in the England squad too. So it's not this like we need to get minutes for the Euros. I think there's a big chance he now doesn't start. And I think that's the right call, by the way. I think that absolutely is the right call. But thinking about Rashford then, I mean, this is a guy last season has arguably the best season of his career individually. New contract. He is 26 years old. He is in his prime. This is when he's meant to be playing his best stuff in his prime. And he is not going with his country to a major international tournament, which they're expected to do quite well. I don't think they'll win, but they could, right? He could miss out on that. And also, when it comes to the FA Cup final, chances are it's looking less and less likely he's not even going to start. I mean, what does that say?
And I was a bit annoyed yesterday. Just quickly, a lot of you did ask where the Flexing KG show was yesterday. We were on location filming something, but we filmed the Flexing KG show, but the audio we couldn't save it. So apologies for that. But during the show, I was a bit annoyed because it was a really good show because we were discussing all of this and we were talking about the FA Cup and it coming up. And I said like, Rashford's in a bad place now. Rashford's in a bad place, and then. What my thinking turned towards was less about the England thing. We discussed that about why he shouldn't be there, and okay, that's it shows that Gareth Southgate's done X, Y, Z. But I thought, how does Ten Hag view this? Ten Hag's got a big choice here. He had a big choice anyway, and we had a feeling like, hang on, the minutes weren't really minuting. It didn't really look like that beforehand. Now this has happened. You got a dejected Marcus Rashford, and Marcus Rashford's confidence is. If it wasn't low before, it's extremely low now. Does Ten Hag go, I believe in him to bounce back. This is the perfect chance to start him. It's a derby. He's Marcus Rashford from the academy. He gets it. He knows what this fixture is. He can produce a moments of brilliance. And actually, in the lead up to this, I hold my hands up. I was sort of saying, before the 2 games whereby he didn't get the minutes, I thought he would. I was like, yeah, well, with him on the pitch and Garnacho as an impact, I think he could just give you something in that big game. Now I look at it, I'm like, I don't think he can start. I don't think meant fitness-wise, with the minutes, he can't, I don't think. But also now, after this blow and this level of scrutiny now there, can you imagine? Let me speak for me. Can I see Marcus digging in and going, this is a really bad time. I'm going to show everyone why I should be in that England team right here, right now. Limited minutes. I can't see that type of
Pulling
reaction.
one out the hat. You know what I mean? That's like, oh yeah, we didn't see that coming from Rashford.
I can't even see it off the bench. I can't like the hunger to like, oh, I'm going to come on. It's the 67th minute. Okay, I haven't started. I'm over that. I'm ready to go at Kyle Walker. I can't see it. In fact, I couldn't think of anything less that I could see. And that's sad to think that, but that's my honest opinion about how I think Rashi will respond to what's just happened in the last couple of days and weeks since Coventry. And I agree. I don't think he will start the final now.
No, I think there's been a lot of key indicators, haven't there? The biggest one was the game against Brighton when he didn't start that game, and then he came on 75th minute. He went, he's getting 15 minutes for an FA Cup final. He's not starting. Like, that's not happening.
And the game before that, he only got what, 10?
You look at Martinez, look at Varane. Like, there was an intent that this way they've got to get quite considerable minutes. We've got to build them up. With Rashford, that wasn't the case. I was interested to see what Southgate would say yesterday, because I was wondering if he would come out and it would be spun as, you know, oh well, he's
injuries taking a while to,
but no, wasn't that. It's just no, he's not been good enough. And it goes to show, isn't it, that the criticism, and then again, this is when it gets back to that line about the criticism versus abuse thing. And Marcus Rashford does get it very, very bad. You cannot hide from that. I think there's been actual studies in terms of athletes worldwide. He gets it bad. But a lot of the legitimate footballing criticism has been very valid this season. And this has been what a lot of people have been saying, going, he can't coast on last season forever. Like, he cannot do that. He can't, you know, he had a good season last year. Cool. But like, if you keep playing poorly, you're going to drop out the Man United side, which seemingly now with Ten Hag, the penny's dropped, and he has, even though it might have been a bit forced by injury. And he's been dropped out of the England squad for a major international tournament. And that's because, again, he's not been playing good enough now. And when it comes to, I've seen the argument about, you know, other players included, and don't get me wrong, there is a massive double standard with Gareth Southgate in England, because he wants to drop Marcus Rashford based on form, and that he selected Harry Maguire for years when he was bang out of form, and there were other options. Jack Grealish is in the team, the squad rather, and he's done next to nothing all season. I think he's only got like 3 goals. But I think the way that I look at it is Marcus Rashford needs that more than, say, like a Jack Grealish does it. Marcus Rashford needs to be dropped. Marcus Rashford needs the reality check. Marcus Rashford needs the wake-up call to sort of, I don't know, shake him into life and say, right, something's got to change here. Like, whether it's the environment I'm in at Manchester United, whether I've got to leave Man United, whether it's the people around me, the PR agencies I work with, I don't know, my agents, my whatever. I've got to look at that. My training regime, my focus, off the field stuff, on the field stuff,
all of it.
It all needs to change, because I'm supposed to be in this place right now. I'm 26. I'm supposed to be, you know, scoring goals, starting every game for Manchester United, going to major international tournaments for my country, maybe even starting in those games, and I'm doing neither. And that's happened in a year. That's happened in 12 months. So what could happen if I don't change in another 12 months? What happens then? Like, now's the time to change something and do something. And I think he needs that reality check. And I've said before that if Man United get a good offer for him in the summer, then he should go. I still think he should go. And at the time, my justification with that is, I think that's what's best for Man United, but also best for him. I think it's best for him.
But now, again, I just think, like, what this is like make or break. I said it yesterday on my Flex's View. You know, he either sulks and says, you know, I can't believe this has happened. This is Man United's fault. You know, look how crap we've been playing. I couldn't get my best football, and blame other things. Or he looks at himself and says, what haven't I? You know, many players have, the whole team hasn't played good this year. The whole team hasn't. But there's a noticeable drop-off, more so in his own endeavour. And that's, you know, again, one thing is, you know, the team getting poor results and tactically was set up wrong and were conceding 17 shots and stuff like that. But individually, you can look at players and see, though, you can look at players and say, well, you're doing your part. It's not coming together collectively as a team. And you can also look at players and saying, you're falling below your own standards, like as a pro, like as a person, as a player. Then, of course, there's team stuff, because it's not the reason why Man United are rubbish. It's not because of Marcus Rashford. Like, again, when he hasn't played, we've been just as crap. But the justification of you being part of the squad to try and fix it game in, game out, we've looked at it and we can all see. And he would admit himself, and Eric Ten Hag's admitted it. He's dropped below your level. And I'm not surprised to see reports like that, which we do have to be careful, because we see that to be true with what we see with our eyes. So to me, when I read that, it makes my assumption that article's all true, because if I can see it, I'm like, well, Eric Ten Hag must see it. That's obviously true. So we do need to be a bit careful about that, not just believing it because it's an article. But even just off my own eye test, when we speak for ourselves, we can see he's not working hard enough. He's not busting the gut off the ball. People like Garnacho and Ahmad will give more defensive stability to the team if you ask them to do it. That's just what we've seen this year. For whatever reason, we don't know why. Whether Rashford's not done it on purpose because he can't be asked, thinks he's better than the instructions, thinks he's better than what he is, or whether he's just not tapped in and can't get it out of himself. I don't know what the reason is, but I know what I've seen with my eyes, that he's not been putting it in, regardless of are you getting a goal, or in transition you might have shot, it went wide, that's just unlucky. No, you've got 8 goals this year, and you're supposed to be in your prime, so it's on him. He's got no one to blame but himself. And this is huge, man. Him not starting that final is it's true. The more I think about it, it's a big, big thing. It's a big, big thing, man. It really is. To finish off, it's gone now. Shock. I don't know if you can see them. I've gone back to the chats and I can't. It's not there.
Where are we at? Ryan says, going off transfer market values, not perfect values, providing United sell who you've suggested, you're looking at around 100 to 150 million pounds in sales still. And Ash says, could they be managing Rashford out of the club? I don't even think it's a concentrated effort with that, because it's all on him. It's not like, again, it's not like a player that's playing well or averagely. They're just relegated to the bench. We're going, that's weird. Like, it's deserved. He's where he should be, in terms of the Man United starting situation, and he's where he should be in terms of the England situation. There are better players. There are better players at England, and there are better players at United at the moment that are playing better and more consistent. And then also, if you're in a team that's not doing very well, I remember Gary Neville said this before, and it is so true. When you're in a team that's not doing very well, you start just picking players that at least they're going to hopefully put some effort in and follow your instruction. And even that with Rashford this season, you can't say that. And I do think it's more complex. I do think there is, and I don't want to speculate too much, but I do think there's other factors at play here. It definitely feels like, we've seen the incidents this season, haven't we? So you've got to be careful with that. Consider the Dele Alli situation. Hopefully people have learned from that. But something needs to change. Something needs to change. That definitely.
Yeah, it's got to go. It's got to go. Guys, we've got to 660 likes. I'm going to round it to. Big up to you guys for getting involved in the channel. It did say, in the show today, it did say that there's only 80 people watching, but that's just not what it is. That's not what it is. We had more, so big up to you guys. What have we got today? It's Wednesday, so if there's more news to come, I mean, the way it's going, you could see something. There will be something. So stay tuned for that, and then into tomorrow as well. Listen, so much going on in the lead up to the cup final as well, and of course, What the Devil podcast. So much to come. Smash the like on the video, guys. Thanks for getting involved in the channel. Subscribe as well if you're not new, and remember, follow our community on Playback. Brand new community. Let's go. Take care. Peace.